But the pants were optional for at least the first 3 months after he died. I didn't even go through what you went through, and the pants were very optional as well.
I'm Nalie, and welcome to the Nalie Show. My biggest fear is losing the ones that I love. Far worse than having cancer myself. And that's why I always say I'm so happy that cancer happened to me and not to anyone else that I love, because I know that I could handle it. But say it happened to someone like my mom, my dad, my brothers, my boyfriend. Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'd do. And I can't imagine losing them. Today, I am grabbing a drink with Virginia. I met Virginia in the waiting room of our hospital. So yes, she is a breast cancer survivor. But more recently, she lost her husband to a chronic illness, making her a young widow, a single mother of 2 young daughters. But despite everything, she's this one big crazy bubble of light that makes me die of laughter every time I hang out with her, I swear. That type of woman you look up to and just like, you ask yourself, how does she do it? So she's coming over really soon, and together we're gonna tackle the topic about how to cope with death. I know it's a big one, but I couldn't think of a better person than Virginia to help me give this advice to you, because I don't know what I would do. Super excited to see her. She should be here soon. I hope I don't cry. Is this waterproof mascara? Did you bring?
I came prepared.
So, what do you want to drink?
Red wine, please.
I met you in the waiting room
Of the plastic surgeon's office.
It wasn't because we were trying to get a boob job.
Nope. You were putting yours in, I was taking mine out.
When did you have breast cancer?
It'll be 4 years in January. January 3rd.
January 3rd, 2000 and...
I don't remember what year.
Really?
No, it's longer than listen, I've had so many other things happen, and here's the crazy thing. I was diagnosed on January 3rd,
yeah,
and then my husband ended up passing away on January 3rd also.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
The same date?
The same date, 3 years later. So
So
that's why the years are so confusing to me. I just know where I'm at in my like post-treatment stage,
yeah,
but like the actual, it's kind of crazy to say that my breast cancer diagnosis is not the most important pivotal date in my life.
When did your husband pass away?
It'll be 1 year this January.
And what happened?
He lived with cystic fibrosis his whole life.
Okay.
He was born with it. It's a genetic disease. So
Yeah.
I knew when I met him that there was a chance that he would die young, but there was a lot of hope. And he actually had 1 lung transplant 4 years ago. And that's actually, I had breast cancer after his lung transplant.
Okay.
So that's kind of like, we thought we were on an up. He had a double lung transplant for the first time in his life. He wasn't on oxygen. He could like, you know, do things and whatever. And I was diagnosed with breast cancer 6 months after his lung transplant. The night of my mastectomy, he had issues and he had pneumonia, and he ended up back in the hospital. So I came home with 4 drains, 2 kids, and nobody to help me.
You have 2 daughters?
Yes, 2 daughters adopted from China because my husband had cystic fibrosis and we didn't want to pass it on. So my oldest is now almost 14 and my little one is 11.
How does it feel now, like you're a single mother of 2?
I am a 46-year-old widow with a teen and a tween. So it's, those ages would be hard even with 2 parents. It's hard, but I'm very lucky. My kids are, I hate the word resilient because I don't think you can use that word for children, but you know,
yeah,
they've already lived in a different country. They lost their birth family. Now they lost their adoptive dad. And yet, you know, they get up every day, and you know, we have our little motto in our house, get up and kick some ass. And it's very inappropriate that my children say that word, but they get up every day and we get together and we kick some ass.
How do you get up and kick some ass? You've been through my biggest fears and my phobias in life, and like, look at you. Every time I see you, you're just like this one crazy big...
Okay, but first of all, if anybody knows, it's not always like that, right? Everybody has their ugly crying moment. Like,
yeah,
my car is littered with dirty Kleenex. I'm crying and bawling my eyes out, but I just feel like I owe it to them. You know, I survived. I mean, the truth is, at one point, we didn't know which one of us was gonna die first, because I, you know, had triple negative stage 3 with all the lymph nodes, and you know, I went in for 1 tumor, and it turned out that it was 3, and they were 4 times the size that they originally thought. So you know, I got scared for a while. And, you know, I lost my mom to the same breast cancer. So I don't have a choice. I owe it to my kids to get up and do my best every day so that we move forward as a family and that they can have everything that they deserve in life.
Do you ever feel like all the bad things are happening to you? Like, what do you blame? Like, who do you...
I don't know who I pissed... Can I say pissed off? I don't know who I pissed off to have this karma, but like it, you know, a long time ago, my husband was Jewish and I converted to Judaism, and the teacher said to me, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. Well, I like to raise my hand and say to God, I'm done. It's enough. Send somebody else's way. I'm good. I don't know. It's my lot in life, and I deal with it, and I concentrate. I make a real big deal about the good things, and I just deal with the bad things.
Here you are 1 year later, right?
Yeah, coming up on 1 year.
Coming up on 1 year, and where are you now? Like, how do you feel? What are you ready to move on? You're still young.
Yeah, so this is an awkward conversation for a lot of people. People don't want to hear that I'm ready to move on, but here's the situation. My husband was sick for many years. Basically the last 5 years, he was oxygen dependent, and I was basically his caregiver. And he lived in the hospital for 19 months before he died, and the last 4 months he was in the ICU. Yes, my husband died a year ago, but my husband, the man that I fell in love with, was gone a long time before that. So some of my grief, they actually call that preemptive grieving. I did a lot of the grieving while he was still alive, but I had lost my partner, right? He became my patient. We went to see him in the hospital. We're talking like gloves and masks and a gown. Like, you can't have a relationship like that, right? I mean, I've gone on a couple of dates. It's weird. But I think, you know, we're ready. The girls are ready not to...
Do they know the girls?
They know I go out. They don't want to know. I mean, you're 13 and 11 years old. They don't want to know.
So breast cancer, flat chest, badass tattoos, and you lost your husband. What's it like dating? How do you date? How do you find someone like...
Well, there's all kinds of apps. I learned all kinds of things about swiping. I swiped with you one night.
Yes. So I know you're probably watching this right now like, who is this woman and how does she do what she's doing? And a lot of you are probably like, wow, I want to move on too. No matter what kind of loss or grief you've suffered, there is hope to moving on, and I think you are the best person to give the advice on how to cope and how to move forward. So are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm very practical with these things.
Yes, your tips are going to help a lot of people out there. I think so. So let's do this. Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, I'm really curious to know, and I think you are too, what are 5 tips to cope with loss and grief?
The first one is very practical. Keep it simple. I wore the same thing and I ate the same thing every day for about 3 months after my husband died. I had 4 pairs of leggings and 5 tops that I just rotated, and I told my kids chicken fingers or spaghetti every night for dinner. We alternated. They didn't complain.
Nope.
But it freed my mind from thinking about what do I put on, grocery shopping, what are we gonna eat, and then I could deal with the actual real deep stuff that we had to deal with. So, you know, I had read about Steve Jobs and Zuckerberg, how they wear the same thing all the time. I couldn't do that for the rest of my life, but in a deep period of grief, removing the day-to-day decisions of little things like that, it allowed me to deal with the real stuff. So, number 2, grief is not linear. There has been 1,000 books and blogs about the 5 stages of grief, and I in general agree with those 5 stages. The thing is, it's not stage 1 and then stage 2 and then stage 3 and then you get to the end and you move on. Like, you think you dealt with anger and all of a sudden you go back to, you know, negotiation and whatever, and all the books prepare you for birthdays and milestones and anniversaries and holidays, and for me those were not the ones. I mean, of course it's very hard. His first birthday was hard, losing my mom, you know, like whatever, but not calling my mother when my husband died, even though it had already been 5 years that she died, that moment I was like, oh my god, I can't speak to my mom. And it hit me like 5 years after. And with my husband, it's weird stuff. Like, I mean, I always tell the story. The first time I went to Costco and I put cornflakes in the cart, and my kids were like, why are you buying cornflakes? We're not gonna eat it.
He loved cornflakes.
He loves cereal, period, but we bought Costco-sized cornflakes, and then in that moment, in Costco, I'm like, ugly crying in the cereal aisle because I'm not gonna ever buy cornflakes again. Nobody could have prepared me for that moment, and that was my moment. Somebody else will have a different moment, but it's not linear and you don't know when to expect it. And so, you know, I mean, I joked that I had Xanax and Kleenex in my pocket for like 6 months, but I just didn't know. I didn't know when those moments were gonna come. 3, it's about you. Grief is about how you feel about the loss. So that was a hard one for me because I tried very hard at the beginning to be mindful of other people's feelings as well. And really, ultimately, the only feelings I was responsible for were mine and my 2 daughters.
Okay.
And it didn't matter if something that I did that made me feel better hurt somebody else's feelings, because I can't be responsible for how other people are dealing with that loss. And you know, when my mother died, the only feelings that I cared about were mine and my dad and my brothers, right? Like, these were the core people that I had to mind, and you know, we did whatever we wanted and whatever. So you have to remember that you can't carry other people's grief. I made choices to remove some of his things from the house almost immediately after he died. And people got offended. They thought, like, what are you doing? What are you moving on so fast? I'm like, I'm not moving on. I can't get up in the morning and be faced with all of his things around me. I needed a space that was for me. And I had to be okay with the fact that some people were gonna think that I was like a merry widow. Like, look at her, she threw out all his clothes. No, I just couldn't cope with looking at them every day.
So it's about identifying what you need,
what you need and what is gonna make you feel better about this.
No matter what anyone else thinks.
Exactly. Number 4?
Number 4.
Well, we kind of just touched on it, which is that every loss is different. And so whether you're talking about a death of a person or a pet, or a loss that could be, you know, a breakup, or, you know, I have a friend whose house burned down. Every loss is different, and there is no cookie cutter answer. Like, oh, somebody's mother died, these are the 5 things that you do. Like, it doesn't work like that. So you have to acknowledge that. You have to be aware that just because it happened to 2 different people, it's not the same thing. And so every loss is different, and every loss should have its own weight. Yeah, you can't compare yourself to anyone else. I think that's what, in general, that's what always kills people even more, comparing themselves, comparing their stories. I call it the grief Olympics. Well, mine is worse than your, you know, people are always like, oh my God, how do you do it? You know, your husband died and your mother died. And I'm like, listen, I know somebody who had breast cancer when she was pregnant. I'm sorry, but like, my breast cancer was nothing, you know? I know, right? You know what I mean? There's no Olympics in grief and loss. You know, you're not gonna win. Nobody gets a gold medal for having suffered the most.
Last but not least,
the 5th one, ask for help.
Oh my gosh, yes, big one.
And that could be in different, like, it could be, please help me take my kids to school, or please go to the grocery store and buy me food, but it's also, speak to a counselor, find therapy, find a support group. Widows groups, I mean, should have seen the first support group that I went to for widows. I mean, I brought the age down in that room like crazy. So I had to ask for help. I had to look for a therapist that understood grief, but also understood that I had been somebody's caregiver for so many years. And that, in fact, what I needed to work on was not so much the loss of my husband, but the me that got lost in all those years of just coping and surviving and moving forward. I know that I'm not the kind of person that like wants to ask for help. Like, I'm super like, I can do this or whatever, but you have to, in order to make yourself whole again, somebody on the outside looking in has to see what's going on, the bigger picture, because you don't get to see it.
What if people feel like they don't have help? Who can they ask?
Well, first of all, the internet is wonderful. I mean, I will tell you that I actually got more support from Young Widows Facebook group. I found a couple of Facebook groups of other widows who have kids and who have to get up and go to carpool. I mean, a week after my husband died, I had to drive my kids to school. I had to go grocery shopping. I had to go back to work like 2 months later. And so I reached out on the internet, and you know, I mean, with cancer, it's the same thing. You find your people, you find your tribe, and there's always somebody else who will understand.
Final words, final advice?
Well, you know, my motto is get up every day and kick some ass. So, you know, some days I don't manage it, you know, and that's okay too, but you got to keep trying. Got to try again the next day and the day after that, and eventually it just gets easier and easier.
All right, so I always ask a random question at the end. What's the #1 thing on your bucket list right now?
Oh boy. This is gonna sound horrible. I'm a horrible mother. I want to go on vacation without my kids.
It's important.
I love them, but oh my god, 1 week in a hotel with no kids and like no chicken fingers and no spaghetti. I want to go on vacation with like my girlfriends or something. I want to go on vacation without my kids.
Where would you go?
Anywhere. Like
just take me anywhere.
Anywhere. I just want to go away.
I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much. And after hearing Virginia's tips on how to cope with loss and grief, what is something that you can do to help someone who's suffering loss and grief?
Because the people around the person who's suffering the loss are the ones who can help that person. So what could you do?
Comment in the section below. We would love to hear from you. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see my vlogs, check it out over there. If you want to see more episodes, check it out over there. Don't forget to subscribe. Be patient, be kind to yourself.
Be strong, but also be vulnerable.
So true. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Only
what
happened
happened
to
to
me.
the pregnant guinea pig?
Well, she had one set of babies and then she got pregnant again, but then apparently she terminated her own pregnancy and dealt with disposing of her fetuses on her own. And that was a fun biology lesson for my children.
The guinea pig ate the babies.
The babies ate the babies, yeah.